Hey everyone, welcome back to the live stream. I'm gonna be hopping in the van in just a second. We've got just doing a single camera angle for today's live stream. All right, let's get started. So we're in the back of the van and we're continuing our progress with the installation of our interior wall panels. So we bought a system from AVC Rig for this customer, and we're using these pre-cut panels to speed up our process. We don't need to have anything too crazy for the walls because we are going to be upholstering all the walls. So by doing that, get something prefabricated, saves time. It really has a dedicated space. So definitely for a DIYer, this is a great option. We talked about Adventure Wagon interior conversion kit yesterday on the Q&A. And that's a very expensive system, but it's a great value if you're considering all the stuff that's inside that kit. Now with this system, this is going to run you under $2,000. I think it's $18.95 if you get the Baltic birch plywood, which is a little higher grade plywood. The reason you would want a higher grade plywood is if you wanted to possibly actually stain this and have more of a natural wood appearance. We're using the underlayment material, and that's because we're going to upholster it. There's no reason to get the, nice looking wood because we're going to cover it. So this is 1/4 inch underlayment, just an easy material to work with. It's very flexible. Now you're going to need that flexibility for your side panels and definitely for the back door. So you can't see it from this angle, but the back door here, this top part is a pretty aggressive angle. If I put this up here, I don't know if you guys can see, but it bends back pretty good in the top of the door on a transit. So this panel doesn't go straight up, it comes up and then bends pretty aggressively backwards. What we're gonna teach you in this video is how to install this panel. Now, when you go the DIY route and you're looking for a interior panel kit, not only is there not going to be instructions on install or how to cut out windows and stuff like that, but trying to figure out where to begin and bolt the panel in place is something that you're going to want to consider. These doors are not super thick, so depending on what type of screws you use for it, you could go through the door, so you need to be very careful where you place your screws. So what I've gone ahead and done is I've already identified where I think you should put the screws, that they're the best arrangement in my opinion. As you guys know, if you've watched my streams, I really like to make sure things look very well. So I've gone through and just taken the additional steps to find out where the screws are going to go, make sure that they're even on each side. This is strictly for appearance. So you may end up using more screws or less, but for me, I want to make sure they're nice and even, and it looks like it was kind of like a factory finish. So these are where it goes. Now, these vans, when you see the hardware that's bolted in these panels together, like stuff like this, these are cargo vans. So they're designed to, have electricians, plumbers. There's different types of upfitters that actually upfit these vans to hold tools and drills and bolt bins and stuff like that. So there is some things built into a Ford Transit that you can repurpose for your install needs. Now over here on this side, let's hop on over here. So this is what you're going to be looking at if you were just a plain door. So I'm going to show you where you can pick up some points to drill into on this other panel. So we're going to lay that out and then we'll come over here and we'll unbolt this and talk about kind of where we landed with our holes. So if I grab my marker, go back and get my marker here. Okay, so let's see here. So this is our door panel. Ford has these, I don't want to call them standoffs, but they're pieces of sheet metal that have been stamped and they kind of pop out. Now, those are all level and they're pretty on a flat surface, and we're going to be using these locations to actually put our screws in. So you can see we've got one over here, and if we just go straight around, we're using this tab. We go up from there, we come across, we're going to be using this tab. And then, let's see here, got this last one up here. So hopefully you should be able to see that on the video. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then coming here on the inside, we've got a spot up by the, move this out of the way. So we got one here up by the bracket. And then what we've done is we've split the difference between this one and this one in the top right. And so this distance here, we got 9 inches from here, 9 inches from here, and then we just, right here in the middle is where we're going to put our final one. Now, on the bottom, I don't have one here in the middle because the way that this curves in, by coming down here and just having this amount, let's see where that panel is. So this side won't have a handle. So think about what that looks like when you get to this point. So once I identified places that I could drill into this back door. So real quick, from here down, you're safe. The door is very thick. I'm using, this is from Lowe's, it's called Tex, T-E-K-S, and these are 1-inch self-drilling lathe screws. So a lathe screw is like a truss head screw, similar. So they have a big, they don't have a big head, but they're, you probably can't see that, but it's all good. So 1 inch, and that's going to keep you safe. When you come up here, 1 inch is also the maximum I would use for these, because as you come up here, the door is leaning in, and you don't want to pierce the back of your door. It would be a bad day. So for me, these locations, 1 inch is safe for screwing in the door panel. So once you have identified those, what I did over here on this back side is I started at the bottom, and then I took a clamp and I just clamped this top part loosely to the door so I could set my first drill bit, my screw hole. And then I drilled from the bottom, left and right. And then I went over here and I did the left side, and then I kind of pushed in and made sure that I didn't have any gaps. So what happens is if you get too excited and you do a screw here, you can bubble out the pieces of wood in between these spaces. You don't want to bubble out the pieces of wood because when you're driving down the road, this can rattle. You can have the wood kind of slap back and forth. Now, that's for like a painted panel. If you upholster it, you can kind of get away with it to where it's not going to make that noise because it's upholstered on the back. But you just want to start from the bottom, go to the top, and then make sure you kind of have some pressure here so that you don't have these bubbles, because it's just not going to look good. Now we're going to paint these panels, so it's going to help us with the expansion and contraction. But you may have seen some DIY vans where, on a hot day, the wood is bowed pretty aggressively, and that just has to do with the wood taking in moisture, not being sealed. I go ahead and I just paint the panel with like a mold inhibitor that's integrated into the paint. This gives me some peace of mind when you're upholstering it in case, this door is out in the elements. It could get rained on, that sort of thing. It's possible. But the benefit is once you do that, you can, get you some additional insurance and not getting your mildew on your door. So bottom to top, and then it came up here, and then I just pushed in while I was setting the screws, and I was able to bend this in. It's an aggressive bend. So let's see, I can tell you how much that is. Also, what I was doing when I was identifying how I could do my screws, I started on the left-hand side. On the passenger door, I started on the right-hand side on the driver's. So these are my first screws. And then I take a square and I put a square on the piece of wood that you've cut out. And then I just draw a line over, because these don't matter where they go, but for visual purposes, you want to take a square and just translate that over to here. You probably can't see it, but I have a red pencil mark going from left to right to identify where this needs to be. I've offset these screws 3/4 of an inch from the outside, 3/4 of an inch from the outside over here. Just drew a line, again, just for looks. But yeah, let me show you how aggressive this curve is. So if we just take our square and we put it on the flat part of the door here, we just take this up. We get 1 3/4 inches. So this panel up here bends in 1 3/4 inches. So just be aware of that. And also, there's a little bit of concave shape to this top. So once you have this one and this in, this one's going to bow out. This will be your last one you want to drill in, because it's going to push in more. So you have this dip and then this aggressive bend back. Now, if you do that right, in a perfect world, you're not going to have that problem you see with a build where this panel is, kind of warping when it's hot and doing some weird things when it's cold. All right, that's how you lay out your screw holes and you put them in. Use self-tapping screws. Don't overdo it to where you round out the hole or anything like that. Once you do this, you'll be able to take the panel off, which we'll do in just a second. But let's pause and let's talk about some other options that you might want to do if you don't want to use a wood panel. So let me sit back over here. So the first thing that you guys can do if you don't want to use something like this. So we'll go low to high end. So like a low end option is to just have some pieces of plastic that have been upholstered. This is part of the Adventure Wagon kit. It just has some VHB tape from 3M, and they give you these panels, and they're just kind of a decorative panel to, tape and just cover up, some parts of the van. The paint's still exposed, so if you don't have a white painted van, so you have a gray or a red or blue or something like that, that paint color obviously is going to show. So depending on how much you want to cover it, it's pretty much up to you on your taste with that. The next level up would be to cover the whole door in 4-way stretch fabric. So 4-way stretch fabric, unlike the upholstery fabric we're going to use for the panels, within the name 4-way stretch, this fabric is almost 1/4 inch thick, and it has like a memory to it. So if you pull it in any sort of direction, it keeps its shape. So it has this 4 ways of stretching. And so, for example, if you have a curve going inside your van, you can form it to that curve, and see, it's going to keep that shape. And so when you push it into the curve, and then you come out of the curve like this, it's going to take all these fine details and clean them up. Now, what I did in my personal van is there's about 1/4 inch relief here where this structural member is in the back of the door. I cut a piece of, it's a roll of, it's like a silver foam, it's a pipe wrap for ducting, so for attic ducting. So if you have those big ducts in your attic that are maybe 1 foot in diameter or 2 feet in diameter, like the return ducts. This is a self-adhesive wrap. It's about 1/4 inch thick, and it wraps around that so that you don't have condensation build up in the summertime. So what I did is I cut that out and I put it in my van here. And what that does is it makes a flush surface from here to here and down here. And then when you spray your adhesive and put the 4-way stretch fabric on there, it'll be a nice seamless look. You'll still see this ridge here. You'll still see these curbs, but it gives you a nice professional look, and it gives you a little bit of insulative value. Now, this is not going to save the day for you when you're wanting to insulate your van because it's so thin. But what it does is if you have a bed, and like I do, the bed in the back of my van goes all the way to this door. And if you touch it, with your foot or your elbow when you're sleeping at night in your van, it just keeps the cold off of it so that when you wake up in the middle of the night and you turn over, you're not touching like an ice cube, it dampens the cold. So this would be an extremely budget-friendly option. 4-way stretch carpet. Check out the live stream Q&A yesterday. In our last video, we go over the link on Amazon, where to get that. And then moving up from there, if you want to have the best insulation, this panel is your ticket because this is going to give you the biggest cavity of space to put in Havelock wool, 3M thin insulation material, because this whole chamber will be covered up. We'll talk about this bottom part in a different video when we actually go and do the install and insulate this after this has been upholstered. But this type of panel, if you wanted to have your maximum insulation, this is the way to go. And then last but not least, if you want to completely repurpose the back of the van for additional storage, which a lot of people like to do. There's companies that make big racks like RB Components. Rover Vans is another company. And what they do is they deck out the top, middle, and bottom panels with a whole storage and organization system. So I have Rover Vans. I have one of their Vandermoon panels, and this thing is very well made. Still haven't installed it yet on the other van, but we're going to do that very soon. But this panel, you can see you have a ton of options. It's already completely upholstered. It comes with an install kit that you rivet it into the back door. But what's really nice is if you can see, let's see, you see this piece of masking tape? This is our 6-inch mattress. So this is identifying where the 6-inch mattress is going to be, just for visual purposes. So if you can imagine, from here up, you're going to be in bed, and you may want to have some type of rear storage. So this panel is the driver's side panel, and so it will actually install here. There is a little bit of gap in the back to where we can stuff some Havelock and get some insulative value there. But as you can see, the bed's going to be right here, and you have these pockets to where you can put, your cell phone in there, anything like, maybe a book, something you're reading at nighttime, and some other stuff up here. And it's just a nice, it sounds crazy, but think of it as kind of like your nightstand for your RV bed. Stuff like this, I think, is better than, you still need, shelves or some type of interior storage for blankets, clothes, heavy items like that. But for slim, low-pro stuff like phone, book, wallet, keys, stuff like that, something like this is a good solution to solve that problem. Okay, let's see here. Do we have any questions? Oh, hey, Richie. Thanks for tuning in. Let's see what else I want to look at here. Yeah, this is pretty much a short live stream. We're going to take this panel off, and then what we're going to do is we're going to upholster it. We'll do our insulation, but I have to paint this panel first. But stay tuned for this afternoon's live stream. It'll probably be a late live stream because I need the paint to dry. I need to upholster the panels, and depending on, I think the paint, exterior paint dries really quickly. That's what we use in these panels because it has the mold inhibitor. So it usually takes, about a couple hours to dry, so I'll do that now. And then when we get back in the shop, we'll do the camera, we'll do a live upholstery of these 2 panels. And then, yeah, that'll be the next live stream. So stay tuned for that one. And if you guys have any questions, put those in the comments below. Also, don't forget to check out the DIY van build cheat sheet. It is essentially an Excel sheet of the last 300 items that I've purchased on Amazon over the last 3 years. It's actually, 250 items over the last 3 years that I purchased in the shop, and it's great. It's got all kinds of items. We've got insulation, solar panels. The tools section is awesome, so all the weird tools that I use in the shop are on that list. So that list is in the link in the description below. You can also go to vanbuilderhq.com to get the list, and guess what? It's completely free. So go get the Van Builder DIY Van Build cheat sheet. Link in the description below. I think it'll really help you out on your DIY van build. And guys, until next time, stay tuned for this evening's live stream. It'll be later tonight. We're going to be doing a live upholstery of these panels, and we're going to check this off our list so we can move on to other parts of the van. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next live stream.